So I've finished making my back panel. As you can see, I don't know what happened right here though. The yarn was stained. But anyway, so what we're gonna do now is join the front and the back panel. When you put them together, this is what they should look like. Should fit in just fine. So now I didn't cut my yarn off, it's still connected down here. We're now gonna start connecting the back and the front panel together so that after we do that, we can do the sleeves, and then we can add in, yes, the arms and do the collar. This part, if you have a needle, that's fine. Tapestry needle, it's fine, you can use that, but I'm just gonna use my hook to connect my front and my back panel. So all I've done is I've brought the back and the front together like this, and I've inserted my hook through the very first loop I made and into that loop that I didn't cut off. So all I'm gonna do is slip stitch those two together. Please ignore the chickens. And then I will find my next loop, which is this one right here. And since we're doing back loops only, that's all I'm gonna do. The front of that one, and the back loop of that one, and we'll slip stitch it. Into the next one, I will find the front loop of this, which is the one near me, and the back loop of that one, which is the one furthest away from me. They're a little hard to find, so have patience and make it as neat as you can. If it doesn't look neat, you could always turn it inside out, because the other side definitely does not show. Okay, there we go. And you just slip stitch, just like that, as I'm doing. So you're gonna go on doing that, and I will meet you once I have reached here. So I have just finished both sides, connecting both sides, this side and that side, and I got started on my shoulder panel. I've connected one side and the other side we'll do together. So I've decided I might actually end up turning it inside out, because it's not looking as neat as I would like. So all I did, I connected the side, the back and the front side, and I chained one. And all I'm gonna do, since this top part doesn't really have any chains, it's hard to see, but you're gonna have to make do with what we have. I'm gonna insert my hook just into those top parts that I can see. Make sure you're keeping it at the top as much as you can, but not too much, because you don't want to form any holes. And I'm just gonna act as if I'm doing single crochets, just like that. And I'll do that working on all the way to the end with this right here until I reach here, and then I'll meet you there. So I've reached the end and I've just chained one, and now I'm gonna grab my scissors, cut the yarn and pull that through, and I can just weave it in immediately. I use my hook and just put it in through like that, so it doesn't really show. And then we should get started on our sleeves. Get started on the sleeve. We're gonna start at the corner, this corner right here, and I'll insert my hook just like that. I'll grab my yarn and we'll make a loop. I'll pull it through and chain one, and I'll work over these two tails right here. So all I'm gonna do is place a single crochet in each of the spaces. It's gonna be hard to see actually, but you know, you can try your best to see. So this right here, there's two right here. There's two spaces, two rows I worked, this row and this row, and I'll be sure to put one in each of these rows, and one in between each of these ribbings, on top of the ribbing, in between, on top of the ribbing, in between, on top of the ribbing. And I'm gonna do that all the way around. And one thing you want to be sure of is to keep count of how many you put, because you want to have the same count on the other side. So I've just done two, 3, 4, 5, and I'm working over my tail. 6, 7, and I'm gonna keep on doing that, and I'll meet you once I've reached the very end. So I've just finished going around, and I end up with 55 single crochets, and I'm gonna be sure to keep the other side 55 as well, so that the arms look the same. You don't want one arm looking bigger than the other. So now that you've reached here, don't cut off. You're gonna measure your arm just to see how long you want your sleeve to be. I want mine to be about 22 inches. So I'm gonna make a chain that's 22 inches long, and I will meet you once I have finished. I've got my chain. So I ended up chaining 78 to make my 21 to 22 inches long arm or sleeve. So we're gonna start with slip stitching into the first 10, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start with chain 1, and I will slip stitch into the very first 10 stitches right here. I've just done 3 so far. I'll meet you once I've got 10. So now that I've got 10, I'm just gonna grab my stitch marker and place it in there just to remind me, and then I will go on with my pattern all the way until I reach right to the very last one that I chained here, and then I will meet you there to show you how we connect to the rest of the sleeve. So I worked a few rows, but the idea is the same. Once you have reached where you joined your chain, you're gonna see that the chain that you joined in is poking out. You don't want to connect in there. You want to connect right in the next one, which is this one for me, and you connect with a slip stitch. And then we would chain 1. Well, we usually chain 2 to turn our works, but then in this case we're gonna chain 1, which is us slip stitching right into the next one right here, and then return our work, and we'll continue as we have been doing the whole time. So each time you reach here, the end of your row, all you're gonna do is slip stitch into the next single crochet space that you have, and then that will be you connecting the row that you just worked, and then you slip stitch into the next to start your new row, and you do that the whole time, and I'll meet you once I'm done with this, so I'll show you how I connect. So I finished working my rows of the arm, and now it's time to connect. So we're just gonna fold it in together like this, and I ended down here, so I'm using this tiny hook just so I can pick out the holes that I'm gonna be inserting this, so that it's easier for demonstration. So I'm not gonna chain 1 or anything. All I'm gonna do is on the other side, I'll find where I had my first chain, which is here, right here, and then I'll insert my hook, wrap my yarn through, and just slip stitch. And now I'm gonna hold my work like this, so I'm on this side, and then I'll allocate my second stitch, which is this one right here, and on this other side I will do the same thing, which is allocate my second stitch, and I'm only going in the back loops of these things, and I will slip stitch just like that, and the same for this one. Find the back loop for this one, which is this right here, insert my hook, grab the yarn and slip stitch just like that. And I shall go on doing that for the whole arm until I reach the very top, the very end, which is where I was doing the connections right here, and I will meet you when I get there. So I've reached the end, and this is the very last slip stitch I have to make, and all I'm going to do is chain 1, grab my scissors and cut off the yarn. Since this is the inside, we're gonna turn the work inside out now anyway. And now it's time to get started on our neck. So I'm gonna connect just right here at the shoulder of my neck, because that's where I want to start and end the row. So all I'm gonna do is make a slip knot, insert my hook just right here, slip stitch like that, and I will chain 1, and then I will go on in each and every row that we have, placing a single crochet, 1 single crochet in each place. You don't want to make it too tight because you want your head to fit in. So you go on doing that, placing a single crochet all around until you reach here, and I will meet you there. I just finished going around with my row of single crochets, and I have reached where I began. So since we've been chaining 10 for the ribbing ends, we're going to do the very same for the neck. So I'm just going to chain 10, plus 1 to turn, and then we'll slip stitch in each chain that we just made. And the way we're going to be working the neck is just as we have been working the arms. The idea is pretty the same, and I'll show you in just a bit. So I have just reached the end, and this is where my chain was joined. This right here is my next single crochet space, so that's where I'm going to slip stitch into to join my work, and then I'll slip stitch into the next single crochet space to begin my next row, and then I'll turn my work just like this, and I'll go on with my single slip stitch into the back loop only, which is right here. You have to hold your work like this just to see it. And you go on doing that to the end of the row. So I've reached the end, and all I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'll turn my work, and I will go back into the back loop with nothing but slip stitch. And that's all we're going to do really. Oh, come on, there we go. That's what we're going to do really. It's going to look a little weird at first, but as you go on working those rows, it's going to start to show. Don't make your slip stitches too tight as I did here, because you're going to struggle to go on. So you're going to go on doing what we just did all the way around, and I will meet you once we reach the very end. So I have just finished going around with my ribbing around the neck, and now it's time to join the 2 sides. So as we did with the sleeves, that's what we're going to do on this side as well. So you're going to find the first stitch you made on the other side and just connect with the slip stitch. And going in through the back loop of this, you're going to find your next on that side and connect with the slip stitch just like that. And you're going to go on doing that all the way until your neck has been closed, and I shall meet you at the very end. And now that I've reached the end, all I'm going to do is chain 1, grab my scissors, cut the yarn, and fasten off. And since we were doing all this inside out, it's time to turn our jumper the right way around. So this is the finished look, guys. It looks so nice, so beautiful, and so neat. I hope you enjoyed this very simple tutorial, and I hope you had fun making it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fun and easy tutorials.